Hello, episode number 36 with Creative Love Radio. The topic of today is stress and the single successful woman. How do we deal with it? How do we become happy and go for our dreams and find love and get home before dinner? This is the topic of the show. Let's get started. Welcome to Creative Love Radio with Debbie and Dr. Rob. We are redefining relationships to guide you to greater love, more success, and living your purpose through the latest research in neuroscience, Jungian psychology, and Eastern wisdom. Get ready for another inspirational episode of Creative Love Radio. Okay, Dr. Rob.
All right.
Here we are, episode number 36, Stress and the Single Successful Woman. Have you ever met a successful woman who didn't experience stress in her life ever? Besides me.
Never. It seems to be part of the game of success, but it doesn't have to wreck our health or their health, because we know there are ways to approach this.
And we're going to get into that today. But before we start, I wanted to mention that we have a new program called the Mind-Body Psychology Training Retreat. And that's happening this summer in lovely Santa Fe, New Mexico. And it's a 3-day retreat where we're going to actually teach you yoga philosophy, of consciousness, neuroscience around the body-mind connection, and then also some great guided imagery, scripts, and programs that you can use to help people with pain management, with weight loss, with health and stress, mindfulness. It's going to be a great 3-day training. So if you're a life coach or a health coach or even a business coach, and you feel like you want some more tools in your toolbox to work with clients, because everyone deals with this stuff. Even our people that are working with love, they're always, people are always saying their body is going through some things. They want to feel better, or they want to feel that they can heal certain parts of their body, and people get sick. So we often introduce this to them and help them out in those ways as well. And we finally got our brains together, Rob and I, to put together a new program for people that want an intensive program for 3 days where you're going to just get a lot of tools. You don't have to spend 6 months or a year getting trained as a health coach. You can come and get this mind-body training in just 3 days, and it's an intensive, immersive experience. And it's August 10th and 11th in Santa Fe, New Mexico. If you're interested, just go to debbieandrob.com, DEBIANDROB.com, and click on the events page, and you'll get to see all the details there.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. And the research is incredible. Mm-hmm. It's really, really interesting. We're really entering a new era of mind-body health.
Mm-hmm. And so that's the topic today, is mind-body health and stress and the mind.
Yeah.
And so what is stress, Rob? What really is it?
Without stressing out too much.
Stressing out.
Let's talk about stress. Yeah, if you think about it in a basic physiological way, it is our body's reaction to an emergency. It's called the fight or flight response. Some people now add freezing, which is fight, flight, or freeze. And we add food, really, because some of us
just eat.
Yeah, we eat to reduce stress, and which is not very healthy. But
and the stress that we feel, like you said, the emergency is most of the time imagined. It's not even real.
Absolutely. So this natural reaction that we have to the environment, to an emergency situation, what happens is that it kicks in now when we are stressed at work, in our business, in our relationships. So now the body is reacting as if we're being chased by a bear, when in reality it's simply a deadline, or our mate is, angry at us. and our body is stewing in all these emergency hormones like cortisol and adrenaline and God knows what for weeks and weeks sometimes. And if we're in a chronically stressful situation, that impacts our overall health. It damages our heart. It creates high blood pressure in us. It pushes us towards diabetes. It hardens the arteries. I mean, the list goes on and on.
And also, I heard too, it makes you slows down your metabolism.
Yes.
When you're stressed, because the cortisol.
And then if you're overeating or not eating healthy, just adds that extra component.
And it really was designed to preserve the body, so we needed those muscles to basically get amped up so we can run or so we can fight the beast or react really quickly. And those of you who've ever driven in a car and were behind a police siren going off,
or in front,
or in front of one, and the police's sirens going in behind you, you're freaking out a little bit. You get that immediate jerk reaction of tensity, and even though you know you're not doing anything wrong, it's just like an automatic reaction we have to those things, and so it's good because we need these kind of systems to preserve us if danger comes, but most of our lives we're not facing the saber-toothed tiger or people coming in and dangerous people around. It's a pretty safe world, and so the stress really is a lot about what we fear about the future and things that aren't really right in front of us, and our body's reacting as if the threat is right here in this moment.
Yeah. And it used to, the common thinking before was that simple or chronic stress would simply cause an ulcer. That was the worst. But now we know from research that it causes a lot more damage than just an ulcer. I've mentioned a few of those, but since we're talking about the successful single woman, I would say that chronic stress would impede her ability to be creative, first of all. And creativity is crucial for an entrepreneur or even somebody in the corporate world. It would definitely impede their ability to relate in a positive way to people. That is to create.
So if you're on a date, you're not going to...
Or business people, business partners or business deals, all that. But in romantic relationships... Because in a chronic stress situation, you're basically on survival mode. You would not be able to really generate compassion, love, empathy, those kind of emotions that you need to really bond with another human being.
Happiness too. Happiness wouldn't be able to be expressed through you if you're stressed.
That's one of the stories I always tell is that when I met you, I had met a few other ladies.
Really?
They were not happy like you were. They were not happy, and that's not very attractive. It doesn't connect with people that you're bitter or unhappy or discontented. When you're happy, people want to be around you. People enjoy being around you, and they want to relate to you.
And a lot of times, when we're stressed, we want someone to take care of us. We want someone to make us happy, but happiness begets happiness. So you attract, if you're stressed, you're probably going to attract people that are stressed as well.
That's right. So it's good for everything, for business and love. And what is going on? Let's say,
what's happening in the body?
Yeah, beyond the physiology of this emergency reaction that we're having. Pain, heart disease, diabetes, IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, insomnia, which then has its own cascading bad effects on the body. All those things are arising as symptoms. Now, those are just the tip of the iceberg, meaning when people go to the doctor and present these illnesses or diseases, the doctor's simply treating a very small portion of really what's going on.
The symptom.
Yeah. They're simply looking at the facts of a long sequence of thoughts and emotions that created these situations. Now, it's estimated, and this is some of the latest research, 90% of our health outcome is determined by our mind. 90%.
Wow.
And that includes emergency situations. Because even in those situations, the mental attitude and the mind that the person brings to that problem that they're there in the emergency room for is going to be impacted by how they respond to pain, how well they treat themselves, and how they approach the getting back to health. A lot of it is determined by their mental state. So literally, almost all our health outcome is determined by our mind.
Well, when I studied medical hypnosis back in the day, I helped women have childbirth with pain-free and surgery, and we did a lot of learned a lot about the research around that mind-body. And one really interesting statistic is that not only is the person who's injured at a first responder, in a car accident or something that happens to someone, not only is their mind impacting their prognosis, but the mind of the helper. So the fireman or the EMT that's showing up, it's their belief if that person's going to survive, and communicating that, and even verbally or just through body language, affects that person surviving. So there's some mind that can override any type of illness. So if the EMT believes that the person's going to make it, they'll make it. If the EMT doesn't, and he doesn't say it, it's most likely the person won't. And it's so, that happens with doctors as well. So not only you, but the people around you impact your state of mind when it comes to your health. Yeah.
And when we talk about mind, we're talking about patterns of thoughts. If you have a negative thought pattern that you replay over and over, that's likely to lead to poor health outcomes. If your assumptions about your health, about your trust in others are negative, also it's going to lead to poor health outcomes. If you, let's say, if you have a self-defeating narrative running in your mind.
Nothing's ever going to work out for me. I'm never going to feel healthy.
Yes.
I'm so tired all the time. I have no energy.
All those things, you keep repeating them over and over in your mind, it's going to give you a poor health outcome. Now, one thing that a lot of people ignore and don't understand is that between the mind and that health outcome are the emotions.
Wow.
The emotions are really they're the bridge between what we think and what our body expresses in health and illness as well.
So if the emotions, they affect your hormones.
Yes.
But then the hormones also affect your emotions. So it's basically a feedback and playing back. So the happier you are, they say that impacts your prognosis. If you have cancer or anything kind of serious illness, the happiness factor really increases your prognosis and your recovery time.
Yeah, but I'm glad you mentioned that there is a feedback loop. But certainly the direction is coming from the mind. The mind is the foundation, and then the emotions, and then the health outcomes.
Okay.
Because it's like this. If we let the emotions run on autopilot, that is, we're just reacting to life circumstances, they'll take us all over the place. When we're happy, yay, we're jumping up and down. But as soon as things start not going our way, then we start to get depressed because we're giving the control over to these external events. We're saying, you tell me how I should feel.
And so really stress we think is caused by the external situations, but it's really the mind that tells a story and the assumptions about what's happening that create the effects of the body and the emotion that. So if we assume something's bad, our story spins about this neutral experience out there. We determine the value of it related to us and how that impacts us, good or bad. The emotion kicks in, and then it directs to the body, and the body knows, do I go in fight or flight right now, or do I relax because it's a good outcome?
Yes. So the research on meditation, on relaxation, on hypnosis, on and on all these mind-body interventions is really spectacular. It's showing that if you're able to control the mind or to, let's say, to direct it in a positive, constructive, creative way, your emotions will then follow the thought, not the other way around. What we're doing when we're letting our emotions guide us, we're letting the external basically dictate to us how we're going to feel and how we're going to react to life. And that is an external locus of control. We're giving our control over to the external, and that's a very helpless feeling. Not only that, we know that lack of control or the feeling of lack of control is the worst stressor for human beings.
So control and stress are related. Your perception of controlling a certain situation. If you feel like you're in control, the stress level is lower. If you feel like it's out of control, the stress level is higher. And the only way you can determine what you have control over is basically your knowledge of how the world works. Yeah. And I remember one of the this description, one of our in our texts in Vedanta, they talk about the cork on the top of the ocean being bobbed around, tossed around by the waves, helplessly, just being carried without any control. That's sort of how we feel when we're in these situations in life, like life happens to us. And what we're saying is that you can rein in the mind, have the internal locus of control where you're determining what those events mean, what your emotional response to those events are, and then that will impact the body. But if we just let ourselves flail around like that little cork, our body is just going through, running through the I don't even know what it's running through, but it's not enjoying the whole process. It's kind of being dragged around with all this emotion and all these thoughts and all this stress.
Yeah, so some people may say, so what? So what? So if you relax, you're better off? No, it's not only that. It's that we can actually reverse the conditions that chronic stress has created, like heart disease, diabetes, chronic pain.
Can we reverse our aging too?
Yes.
Wow.
To some extent. Obviously, you can't turn back the clock to when you were a kid.
You can't be 5 again?
I don't know if you would want to.
Yeah, that's true.
But you can definitely slow down the aging process and even recoup some years. Really.
Increase your metabolism.
Yes.
You could feel healthier, stronger. And they always say that the attitude is really that makes the difference. When you see older people and they're the sickly ones seem to have a poor attitude, sad and feeling helpless. And then the ones that are really those 90-year-olds that are dancing still, and they just have a different attitude, and it's because they have created that control in their mind that they're going to control their destiny. They're not going to let the events of life. And this is just a great lesson for all of us: is that are we going to wait until the Mr. Right or Ms. Right shows up for us to be happy? Are we going to wait for that we reach a certain level of income to be happy? Are we going to wait until that bill comes in, or that
till I win the lotto?
Till you win the lottery, or the big deal that you've been waiting for? Or is that going to make you happy? And we know that it doesn't. We know that it's those things are externally cannot basically make you happy unless you think they are. But then they're also temporary. They're because temporary. Once you hang on, once you get something, So you meet the love of your life, this great person comes in, you're going to be stressed about losing them. So if you don't have that control and that managing the mind before you meet, that person isn't going to save you from that.
That's right. So finally, we get to, how do we do this? How do we get a hold and take the reins of our mind body so that we can have not only positive health outcomes, but tremendous optimal health?
How can we?
I don't know. You're going to answer that.
I'm going to answer it. Well, the first step is to understand what's going on in the world, is that the world is going to have ups and downs. You're going to have, people get sick, people leave, jobs end, money goes in and out. There's going to be a lot of fluctuation in the world. And the idea that you can ever have all your plates spinning at the same time in the direction you want them to go is pretty nil, that you're going to have that happen all the time. So we have this mind that thinks once everything is set, then I'll be happy and I can relax. So the first step is to realize the temporariness of life and the ups and downs of life. And that in those ups and downs, we can choose to ride the roller coaster with it, or we can watch the roller coaster. And I love there's a quote that says, there's two birds sitting in a tree. One bird is eating the sweet and sour fruits of life, while the other bird watches in non-attachment. And so if we can remember not to get so attached to these things, we could really be free. Now, how do we do that? How do we become non-attached without studying with a yogi for years and go to Tibet? It's first to know that the world is not doing anything to us. It's what our mind is telling us about the world, those assumptions of these events that are creating the disharmony in our mind and in our emotions and in our body.
Yeah. Luckily, the research shows that these reversals can be very rapid and can take effect very rapidly once we change our mind, once we change our perspective on what is going on. Where is the control? And what control and what, let's say, what say-so do we have about our health outcomes, our mind body?
So one great exercise for beginners or anyone who wants to start this process is metaconsciousness. Basically watching your thoughts, it's like you're not above consciousness because you can't be out of it. That's all there is. But you're really watching yourself think. And there's something really soothing about that. So when you wake up in the morning, for 5 minutes, even a minute if you don't have longer than a minute, or in the shower, just stop and watch yourself think and listen to the stories that your mind spins. And I guarantee you, after 1 week of doing this for 5 minutes, by the 5th day, you're going to say, oh my God, here's that story again. Here I go again. Here's that mind telling me the same thing, worrying about the same thing. And all of a sudden you get it's like a spontaneous awakening or a spontaneous realization that thinking mind is constantly running. So if you could separate that witness from the thinking, you could start to also witness the world in that same way, because the thoughts come and go just like the events of the world. And we start to examine, what do we allow ourselves to get all stressed out about? What are we worried about? And then the next step is really working with the emotions, like not being afraid of the stress or the anger or these emotions that come up. You don't want to clear them away. You don't want to heal them. You don't want to, put them in a nice little ball of light and, let go. You want to examine them. You want to look at them and go toward them and say, tell me more about what this feeling is. And you're just going to hear the story. And then here's the thing. Once you basically slow down that response, you're going to understand why you're so amped up in the beginning. And then a lot of times you just realize that I can't believe I'm worried about this. Yeah. I can't believe I'm amped up about this or stressed about this. It's so small compared to who I am. And you're going to start having these spontaneous feelings of freedom and relief, and your body will start to get into a new rhythm with the thinking and with the emotional rhythm that comes with that.
Yeah, that was one of the most pleasant surprises in our work, because I come from a long line of warriors.
Me too.
And it's that the emotions are fuel for our growth. Most of the time we're trying to avoid them, to get rid of them, to suppress them, to walk around them, something. But they are really the key to personal growth and to really what we call the spiritual life, because they provide the energy, the passion for creativity, for understanding, for connectedness, for that feeling of really connecting to life and the universe. It comes through the emotions. Carl Jung said, without emotion, there is no transformation, because you need that passion, you need that fuel. And to try to get rid of them or suppress them or to only focus on the nice, mellow emotions is a mistake.
And when you don't do that, when you suppress them, that's really the cause of stress. Because stress is, I don't want to feel these things. And it's almost like taking a big beach ball, putting it under the water, and holding it down. And while the beach ball is trying to come up and pop to the top, you're pushing it down. And that's what stress is. It's just there's something I don't want to feel. And most of the time when you just let it pop out, you're like, oh, that's not so bad.
Yeah. But to access those emotions, and that's our genius, really. Mm-hmm. That's our contribution to humanity, because it's such a basic human need that we have to emote. Mm-hmm. And to really understand that part of your psyche, of your mind, body, it will give you health, it will give you happiness, it will give you connectivity, community, all those beautiful things that we call human life.
So stress shuts down your heart.
Yes. And
feeling the emotions opens them up. Even rage and fear and anger, your heart is more open in those times than they are when you're stressed, when you're shutting it down and you're not allowing yourself to feel those feelings. So you can really transform in those moments.
Yes.
Allowing those emotions.
One parting thought, that technique that Debbie mentioned, metaconsciousness, you can use it to approach any emotion that comes up in your life. Any emotion that's stressing you out. Approach it with that mind of observing it without judging it, of inviting it in instead of trying to fix it. It's an incredible transformation that will happen in your mind.
And if you are one of those people that really want to go on a retreat and relieve the tension and understand and learn techniques that you can use on yourself and on people around you that you love. My mom broke her humerus, and I made a little recording for her. She calls it a tape because she thinks it's on a tape. She's so cute. Anyway, she's recovering so much faster. She's not using painkillers anymore, and she said it's just made such a difference. And I've helped people come out of comas in 24 hours. I've helped people recover from very serious surgeries. One woman reducing her anxiety where she couldn't even leave the house after surgery. And then she started working with me, and basically she said I gave her life back because she was able to relieve all that anxiety. So these techniques are really powerful, and I'm excited to bring them in. Your knowledge of consciousness and the neuroscience and the way we work with the subtle body and the subtle mind is going to be really fantastic. It's a spiritual journey, but also with practical application. And so whether you are a coach and you want to help others with this, or you want to just be there for yourself. If you have some health challenges and you want to learn about how to work with your mind to create a healthy body, or if you just want to lose a couple pounds, you want to learn this to help your body weight and your body image. Yeah. These are all powerful techniques. Really beautiful retreat. It's going to be very transformational. So again, go to debbieandrob.com and click on the events page and you'll see our outline.
And our approach is always through a coaching model.
Yes. This is not therapy. This isn't healing. This isn't a medical replacement. It's really something you can use with a traditional practitioner, service, doctor, if you're working with one. So it's not to replace that at all. But great topic. I hope you're more relaxed listening to us talk, and practice the meta consciousness. And remember that your sense of control, is going to mirror how much stress you have in your life. So if you have full control, less stress. Feel lack of control, more stress. Very simple. And we hope to see you next time on our next show.
That's right. Thanks for tuning in. See you next time.
Take care.
Much love.
You've been listening to Creative Love Radio with Debbie and Dr. Rob. For more information, visit us on our website at creativelove.com.